Okay, well, while we have our panel member joining in and Catherine here is sorting out the login. Um, so I'll just take the time because we have limited time and after this everyone might be looking for coffee, so we wouldn't want to get into the coffee time. We'll speak more about, some of you, many of you have been hearing about the program in Myanmar. And it's the scheme is branded as One Pay. So we have some of the participants, the DFSPs who have joined and have integrated and are going to be launching their services under One Pay Myanmar. So we thought we would bring some of the participants to. It would be great for everyone to hear directly from the participants. So this has facilitated with some questions, but at the end we'll have a few minutes for open audience questions. Okay, we have everybody. Super. Okay, so what's next? Okay. Well, again, my name is Arat. I am representing the United Nations Capital Development Fund, the Myanmar program. I also have colleagues with me at the back sitting hiding in the corner, Sajid and Sarsaru. So the free time I can find them to learn more about the program. I would be working with the including the World Bank and ADB, for about 15 years in Asia and Pacific. That program, I did work with the World Bank in the South Asia program and then social protection and digitization program in the South Pacific as well. So with and to briefly give a quick overview, 3-4 minutes about what is One Pay and hear about One Pay, and try to connect to the session, and then bring the panel members to introduce themselves, and then they'll guide us through their experiences. Okay, so One Pay. It's a scheme based off using the open source Majorloop technology. So it has the core design principles that have on which Majorloop has been designed. So we have taken those principles and built an implementation scheme. We're in the process of launching that scheme in Myanmar. It pretty much follows all the design principles. There are a few iterations or small additions to the principles of One Pay that were required to meet the requirements of the Myanmar market and of the participants in Myanmar. So that includes things around managing the cost aspect, around managing the governance aspect. In our case, unlike other Majorloop deployment, One Pay is not hosted implemented by a central bank or a government initiative public institution. It is a participant-owned and participant-managed scheme. So some of the design principles, some of the rules, some of the processes we have to adapt to comply with the participant-owned scheme structure. In the interest of time, I thought this slide gives there's a lot of information on this. I will only explain a few points, but this explains the key milestone in the journey of One Pay. Where it started and where are we now and where are we going to go in the coming months. So it talks about the key milestone areas. And this whole idea started with a discussion with the government around, hey, there is this great technology, there is a lot of potential and relevance for the Myanmar market. Test it. A discussion happened with government, with the private sector, with financial institutions, and general response was yes, but what is it? Does it really work? That's where the successful PRC lab phase worked out quite well, and there was a good interest generated. but the regulator was still not completely on board with taking it up as their new initiative. Also at that time, and this is 2019, mostly 2018, 2019, they were still firming up their own view to take forward the now ideas for. But so what was the big was let's move ahead with this and we start. Let's not wait for local government systems to come up and make their own strategy. As long as there is confirmation and acknowledgement from them, we can still make progress because the technology still needs to be tested, set up. When the scheme went through all these key steps, the ones that you see green, they have all been completed. We have we are at this stage live transactions with the real money of real people that exists. And where we stand right now is we are at the final stages of getting the necessary, putting in place necessary regulatory compliance and clearances that we need. Note in the Myanmar case, there is a, this doesn't work, right? Yeah, okay, thanks. In the case, yeah, this works. In the case of Myanmar, there is, we don't have regulations for some infrastructure, unlike several other markets. So with the and I'll explain those three lightning bolts that you see on the slide. So they also kind of forced us to adapt to a new type of a model. And those three ones are important for you to know when you are hearing from the panel members their views. It's important that you place their views in the right context. This works. Okay. Okay. Yeah, this works. Thanks. So you see those three. There are three, and the one down there is those three lightning bolts represent three massive shocks that we didn't really anticipate. Nobody anticipated, and they all impacted the whole program, impacted country in different ways. So one of them is, of course, COVID was raging. It was beginning of COVID. It arrived in Myanmar a little bit late, but when it arrived really hard. So there was a lot of destruction coming out of COVID. So that also impacted, of course, the businesses, especially financial service industry. The other thing that happened was the military takeover of the then government. So the coup. So that sent a big shock signal to the markets, to people, and of course, as a consequence to our program as well. The third thing happened was the subsequent liquidity and financial sector crisis. There was a massive liquidity crisis because the new regulations were only focused on maintaining the protectionism mandate of the new regime. So there was a massive issues around bank run, people were not allowed to access cash. There were limitations on withdrawal. There were limitations on how much money you can move around. So not just at a macro level, but even at the micro level, just suddenly the cash and the liquidity disappeared, as well as other type of impact items like in case of MFIs and banks, just the loan NPAs just shot it up like 5 times. Economic activities just massively dwindled down. The FX crisis stepped in, so exchange rate, and it is continuing to go bad to worse to further worse. So a lot of these things happen. So a major impact of those big lightning bolts were, beside all this economic aspect, was loss of trust. In a market where there has already been a history of trust issues, that just really became even harder for financial service providers to gain the trust of their clients to try out anything new. And that included, are we introducing a new type of a digital payment mechanism? How do you make people trust that and use it, as opposed to trying to find different ways of giving money to a driver or this and that, hiding the money somehow so that no other person sees it and they get into trouble. So there has been a lot of these issues around trust, moving the money, keeping the information safe, in general, just being safe and carry on your life. So these red lightning bolts have had a huge impact on the program. Of course, it's a long story, but short, what it meant was we had to pivot a lot
on a weekly basis we had to change. There was so much fragility, and so that also forced us to be so much more agile in an already complex type of program where it was a participant owned program. So as a result was the a governance structure of this scheme, which is owned and managed by a select number of DFSPs. So they all decided that we'll follow a two-step approach to getting clearances. So right now, what the program is going into is what we call wine pay service, which will use an existing banking license, and that has very likely we will get a clearance for it. And then over time, it will move to an independent scheme with its own licensing while the licensing regime is getting in place. So that is the pivot that would allow us to put the scheme into the market. And where we stand now is it's ready to go live. We're in the final documentation of getting these wine pay service and the wine pay, what we call LGC scheme entity in place. So that's the background I wanted to give you everybody so that now you can place the responses that would come from our panel members, which let me also to bring up. I think everyone is here. So we have 3 panel members, and I will request them to introduce themselves very briefly, and then we'll go into the discussion. Let me see. Let me request with Simon first.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Amit. So, hello everyone. Nice to meet you all. I'm someone from the Southwark, and I work as head operations. So, let me take a few seconds to talk about our company, the Southwark. So, this Southwark is a fintech company based in Myanmar and Singapore. It is also certified by Singapore Fintech Association as a real-time payment and credit intelligence solution provider for financial inclusion. And we provide financial technology solutions for microfinance and also non-bank financial institutions to collect, manage, and analyze data needed to run affected operations and also to minimize the risks. And then also in YP project, this hour is the head operator, and we are responsible for day-to-day functions of the head and operation for the platform. Yeah, okay. Let me start my introduction here. Amit, you can invite another panelist. Thank you.
Thanks, Suman. Let me now invite Concert Lin, please.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kang Lin. It's nice to meet you. I'm a Chief Quality Officer of Microfinance Delta International, which is microfinance in Myanmar. So we are very happy to be part of this panel today.
Okay, thank you. And lastly, let me ask Saine Lin to introduce himself, please.
Hello, hi everyone. Hi. This is Sai Lin. I'm working as a Chief Digital Officer at HANA Microfinance, like leading the digital transformation initiative here. So HANA Microfinance is one of the largest MFI in Myanmar in terms of the portfolio size, and we mainly focus on providing loans for our clients to run their business, like be it like establishing a new business or be it expanding their existing business. So yeah, and HANA is strategically focusing on the rural areas of Myanmar where financial assets are very much difficult to get, and rural area forms like 75% of our total client base, and we are committing to like using the technology to sustainably expand our service and improve the financial inclusion in Myanmar. Yep, thanks for having me here.
Okay, thanks, Saine. So now I know we have limited time, so what we thought would be good is to hear from the panel members their experiences on select themes, and then we'll just open the floor for any open questions. Let me start with the first theme, which is strategy and buy-in. So I would direct my question to Kongset Lin and Saine Lin is, why did you join the WinePay initiative? You know, what did you pick up in the initial engagement process?
For our MyFeeder side, it was because of the use cases that WinePay was presenting itself It was early in the day when there was a boom in digital transactions, and we were looking at how we could digitize our repayments. And then in that case, where we saw was that one-to-one integration with all the wallet provider was being a hassle, and it was being of a roadblock into digitizing our repayments. But WinePay came to us, and it shows that with WinePay, we would have only an integration with WinePay, and then we would have interoperability throughout with all the other partners, making it easier entry for us. And that was one of the reasons we actually be part of joining the initiative.
Yeah, thanks. And now let me ask Kun Set Lin, what drove you guys to join the WinePay initiative?
Oh, that was my answer, Amit. It was concept.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Let me ask now Hannah to explain their experiences.
Yeah, quite similar reason as Kokang said, as mentioned about from the reason from Peter, like it's very important to have such a interoperable payment platform in Myanmar in order to speed up the establishment of this the digital financial service, especially in the rural areas where we are focusing on. And we just want to give more the digital payment choices for our client via this interoperable platform.
Okay, great. Let me ask the next question to what has been your experience looking at the decision-making process of the participant-led governance model, especially what type of decisions, were there any particular type of decisions that you found more challenging than others?
From our side, because it was such a long-term project, like we've been with the project for 2-3 years. So the initial decision was, I think, that the biggest decision, the decision point, I would say, because once you make that decision, you are in it for the long haul. And we were there since day one. I think that big decision to participate in this project, especially knowing that it was going to be long term. So from the offset, like we have to make sure that we understand like what we are trying to achieve, like to know that okay, like if we're gonna be with this project for 2-3 years, like what's the end goal, how does we want to look like? And I think we were able to hash out a lot of that in the initial years, and then going on that journey, we wanted to. Well, I think this was Steve as well. We know like Mojaloop and WinePay presented where we want to be in the end, and that was a great point for us to be on this project, and then keeping up with the journey, and then balancing like the business priority and the use cases on where we want to go, how we want to achieve it, and actually how to get there, making it the decision making process much easier. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Other panel members, if I may ask you the same question.
Yeah, so
how has your experience been with the participant-led decision-making process?
Sure. So the participant-led the model is particularly is allow us to better understand the customer pain point collectively. So like we got to come out to discuss among the MFI and even among the other the digital payment service providers, and to brainstorm the solution that work for all. So that is a very good opportunity, I would say. And yeah, and for example, like when we need to, let's say, decide on setting the different fees option, the scheme fees, or maybe the transaction fees option. So we got to learn from other different MFI how they are operating, and what's their the viewpoints. Yeah, and the same across the other payment digital wallet providers also. Yeah, and this is only like so far we have only covered across the MFI and digital service provider only. I'm also looking forward to learn from other NGOs which very recently joined to this platform in WinePay, and they are like, yeah, so the use case from them and their viewpoint will be very interesting to learn also. So there's a benefit for this the participant-led model. Yeah, and what type of decision make it more challenging than the other is that yeah, all decisions are quite challenging because we have to take that ownership, the responsibility of making that decision. But we collectively come together. It gives us some level of confidence that yes, we have thought through all different aspects. But the good thing is also like the project, the whole journey has been quite flexible. That even we decide now, but along the way we are flexible to, we all agree that we are flexible to change along the way if we need to. So when we learn more things, when we uncover new more learning points, so that's really good. I would say.
Okay, and thanks. Let me now ask the question. Yeah, sorry. Let me direct the next question to Sumonong. You have interacted with 30 plus DFSPs over what last 18 months or even in 2 years. If I were to ask you what went well, or what would you say we could have done better to improve the process? How would you describe that?
Yeah, so for this question, let me share some good points of the wine base based on the current process. So I think that TFSB can check the transition histories and report in the payment manager border for those who choose the payment manager connection option. And also the FSB can check the transaction history in the wallet as well. And another one is TFSB can reduce the document preparation steps to keep the repayment process and transaction reports. And other than that, regarding the issue troubleshooting process in YP, we are using we are head operators are using the ticketing system Gerard, and we gave the Gerard access and create the user to access the ticketing system for GFSB. So it will help GFSB to record the issues and resolutions for every issue. And as a final point, I would like to mention from the reconciliations and settlement process. GFSB can reduce human errors and eliminate the accounting errors because of the instance payment and financial records with great accuracy that we provided. So that's I think this is the good point of the YB that we provided to GFSB. Yeah.
Okay, great, thanks. I have gotten message from Steve. We have a few minutes left. I do have one last question. We have 5 minutes, okay. So my last question is to each of you panel members. If you were to say one point, just one point, what has been from your organization in the country, in the context of the wine pay scheme, what has been the one lesson or the takeaway lesson that you have had throughout this journey?
I can go first then. Yeah, I think like the biggest takeaway is that because it's a participatory governance, like it's where all the participants are firmly contributing and collaborating on, like Gosai Nilian said before, like collaborating on regular engagement to pricing, shaping together the scheme rules, and then the use cases as well, governing structure, product design, all of it. So that make it easier for us to actually work on a more of a sector approach where everybody can actually get on board, knowing that they will have a voice when they do get into the project.
Great, right.
So maybe I can go next. Is that the key takeaway for me? The lesson is, to stick to the journey is a long, 2-3 years project, and then the past 2-3 years hasn't been the smooth, the situation in Myanmar, especially, that we have COVID and we have a lot of crisis after crisis. So yeah, to keep up, to stick to the journey and also to rebalance the business priorities, and that has been very important to still be in the project until today. But those crises are also like give us a lot of other learning points that we can apply back into this project so that the project become more robust, for the future, use cases when we encounter this kind of crisis again, in the future. So yeah, so that, yeah, that's my point. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Yep.
One point.
Yep. Let me share one point from the head operation perspective. So, as we know, as the borrowers have different levels of the knowledge about digital payments, and most of the borrowers are in the rural area. So, I think in YPay needs many wallets that have active clients and have many agents nationwide. So, I would like to highlight that point as a lesson. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I think we seem to have a little bit network connection, but I think we got the point. Steve has signaled time is up, but do we have time to take one or two questions from the audience? Okay, one question. MC says. So, any question for the panel member? Anybody want to ask them anything with respect to their relation and their experience under the WinePay program? In the room, online, any see question online? Okay, then if no questions, then we can finish on time. And over to you, Steve. Thank you, everyone. Especially for some of you, it's pretty late for their time zone. So thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having us.